wasn't for the support of my husband, who calls himself a recovering non-Arbonne believer. So, you know, what you have to do to make them a believer is just become successful in this business, and they'll start believing it. So we go on this road trip this year for Christmas, and we go to visit our 25-year-old and new grandbaby. And we're packed and we're ready to go. And our children right now are 12 and 15, and you know, you pack for them a little bit differently at these ages, but we tell them, this trip it's a 3-movie trip, right? This is a 3-movie trip, so they know what to expect, where, you know, how long it's going to take to get there. We pack their snacks, we have their drinks, we have their books, they're ready to go. And so we get in the car as usual, and my husband's got it all packed up, and he's got my neck pillow and my blanket because he knows the first thing that I do when the car engine starts is I fall asleep. And so this was a typical road trip, right? And so I'm asleep. And what typically happens on the road trip, it doesn't matter where you are on this road trip, there's something that our children always ask us. Are we there yet? And so our 15-year-old takes off his headphones and he goes, Dad, because he's not going to ask me, I'm asleep snoring. Dad, are we there yet? And my husband will say, no, Brett, we've got 2 more movies or 1 more movie. And really what Brett is saying is that I'm bored. I've done everything you've told me to do. I've watched the movies. I've eaten my snacks. I've counted the cows. I've played the ABC game. And I'm bored. When are we going to get there? Does that sound familiar in your Arbonne business? Are we there yet? You know, on my journey with Arbonne, we didn't know what to expect. My awesome sponsor, Cecilia Stoll, who offered me this business, we didn't know what to expect, because back in the day, you guys, we didn't have a system. You guys have a system. We can tell you exactly, you follow this, you'll be successful. You do this, you're going to be successful. You do it consistently, you're going to be successful. We didn't know back then. And so I really we didn't have a guide, except I just followed what she did. And what an amazing example she was for me. So my journey in Arbonne, I started in this business for a trip to the Bahamas. I had a 3-month-old, a 3-year-old, a husband that coached collegiate volleyball. So he was gone, and I was working 50 to 60 hours a week as a physician assistant in medicine. And so I needed nothing else to do with my life. But I wanted a trip because my husband and I, our vacations were always to Branson, Missouri. Yeah. Which is great. But now I'm a card-carrying passport holder because of this company. So I needed nothing else to do with my life. But you know what? I needed to do something different with my life, because in order to have a life with my family, to be available for my children, I needed something different. But I didn't realize that Arbonne was that something different. I didn't realize that. So we went on this trip to the Bahamas, and I have to tell you, it was a trip of a lifetime for me, because it wasn't just about laying on the beach. It was about seeing the amazing, classy, intelligent, successful people in this business. And that's what you guys are, by the way. And they stole my heart. And I said, this is where I want to be. And at that point, my husband and I decided, we're going to work this business. This is our plan B, and will eventually be our plan A. So let me just give you a day in the life when I was building my Arbonne business. Got up had to be at the hospital by 6:30 a.m. And so I had to get up to an alarm clock, obviously. Went to work, saw about 22 to 28 patients. I had complete autonomy. I worked for an incredible physician. We basically had our own separate practices. So I saw 22 to 28 patients a day, did hospital rounds, nursing home rounds, came home. Most of my paperwork wasn't done because I didn't have time to do that. I wanted to be home with my family. Get the kids ready, go see volleyball, come home, go to bed, start all over. And so where in the world was I going to fit in my Arbonne business? And I truly worked it in the nooks and crannies of my day. I truly did. But what kept me going? What kept me going is I knew that when I replaced my income, then I would be home with my children. I knew that when I was home with my children, I would have the ability to make a difference in their lives and be a part of their lives. Because at this point in the journey, I wasn't. And my son today, he remembers very vividly our experience as I was building my business, because he would come up to the office. I was still seeing patients, and he would sit in the office with me sometimes until 7:30 in the evening. He remembers that. And he recently said to me, this was last week, he said to me, we were in the car, and I get great conversation with my 15-year-old in the car. Can you guys imagine? I mean, that's the only time we get to talk. And we were talking about Arbonne, and I said, right, you probably don't remember when Mom used to be gone all the time doing group presentations and sponsoring people. And he goes, yeah, I kind of remember. He goes, but now you're home all the time. I didn't really know how to take that. So I don't know if that means I need to get busy or not. So what happens in your life between when and then? When you become a district manager, then. When you become an area manager, then. When you become a region, then. When you become a nation, then. What happens between district and area? And it's the meantime. And I want to talk to you today about the meantime and how important it is to live and work and do and be in the meantime. So what do you do when you're not where you want to be, but you're not where you used to be either? So what do you do in the meantime? Let's talk about that a little bit. Can I tell you that what you do in the meantime will make or break your business? What you do between district and area will make or break your business. I remember when I was a district manager, again, there was no system, and I asked Cecilia, she's probably going to kill me when I say this. I apologize now. I said, Cecilia, how do I get to area? And I'm a recipe person. Give me the recipe. Tell me 3 eggs, a cup of flour. I will follow that recipe. And I said, how do I get to area? And she said, you work harder. I was mad. I was like, how dare you tell me what? No, I want to know exactly step by step, how do I get there? And so I turned around and I walked around and I'm like, work harder. Okay, I'm going to work harder. And that's what I did. I did more of what I was doing, and I got to area manager. And so what do you do in the meantime? You know, this is an amazing thing, but in America, and I'm sure it's like that in other countries as well, but you don't hear what happens in the meantime. Think about the Olympics. We get to see the gold medal, the silver medal, the bronze medalist, but what they don't show is how hard they worked to get there. What did they do in the meantime? They don't show all of the early mornings, the runs that they do, the exercise that they do that nobody else could ever do, the food that they eat, right? The sore muscles, the fatigue, the frustration, the determination, the desire. They don't see that. We don't get to see the fatigue that they experience. All we get to see is what happens at the end. You know, it's the same thing in Arbonne. You guys get to see these amazing speakers that we've had. You get to see the MVPs, but you don't get to see the journey that we've had along the way, the sacrifices that we made. I did have some sacrifices. My sacrifices were I didn't exercise.